Hey fam, I want you to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications. U.S. Supreme Court is hearing a case involving a white DA in Mississippi. His name is Doug Evans. He excluded 41 of 42 black potential jurors over the course of 6 murder trials for one man, Curtis Flowers. Now, Flowers was accused of murdering 4 people. The actual evidence against him is thin, and there were 2 mistrials and 4 convictions, 3 that were overturned. The one conviction that stood had 11 whites and 1 black person on that jury. Now, the reason also they kept getting overturned, the cases kept getting overturned because Evans kept striking black people. And the appeals court kept saying, you were wrong, and he kept doing it. Well, today, the case was argued in the Supreme Court. The newest justice, Kavanaugh, seemed to side with Flowers' attorneys. Now, if he votes for the 4 liberal justices, justice might be done. The ruling is expected to be before June. Also, today, Clarence Thomas woke up and actually asked his first question in 3 years. He's known for not really asking any questions. And in fact, prior to him asking a question 3 years ago, it was 10 years before he had actually asked a question. Pretty interesting here. I want to go back to our panel here. We have seen other cases before. The Supreme Court had previously ruled in a case, I believe it was in Georgia or Louisiana, where literally the prosecutors marked B next to the juror's name and who they struck. We know for a fact that prosecutors, Erica, have consistently done this. Yep. They do not want black people on death penalty cases, especially if it's a black defendant.
Right, because death penalty cases disproportionately impact black folks. And this is why elections are so consequential. When people talk about not understanding why their voting matters, this is why your voting matters. Voting for those people that are pursuing those seats as DAs and those local justice seats, this is why it matters. And particularly in this case of Mississippi, their prison, that penitentiary, Parchment, is literally a 16,000-acre farm. And so the years that this man has given his life to that institution, having been tried over and over again, is completely outrageous. And this is why we vote. This is why we are involved in not just national elections, but local as well.
Yeah, well, first of all, prosecutors generally forget, in my experience, having been a prosecutor, that the job of the prosecution is not to convict, it is to do justice. So to the extent that you see someone who keeps striking black people from the jury pool, that's not justice that's being done. And that's very clear. That's number one. Number two, as a purely legal matter, as a constitutional matter, this is clearly unconstitutional. The courts have already ruled on this issue. Part of the problem was the courts below, because they at one point overturned, and then they were like, yeah, the state court said, yeah, we don't want to hear it. And so now I believe the Supreme Court's going to rule that this is unconstitutional. I think you may get Kavanaugh, and I also think you may get Chief Justice Roberts on this as well.
And this is what black folks have had to deal with in this country. When people understand why you have a foul criminal justice system, because we know that it is stacked against black people, and there are other prosecutors like this guy right here. And I keep saying that, look, the way you fix this is you say to any prosecutor, you strike black folks from jurors, you're going to actually lose your license. See, I think the problem is we have allowed these folks to stay in these jobs, to be able to get by. It's no different than the black guy today, spent 6 years in prison, just got awarded $13 million from San Francisco, and the 2 cops who framed him are now retired. Their asses should go to jail.
Right, and have their pensions snatched as well. So, yeah, and again, I go back to the participation in local elections. We've got to make people understand the connection between showing up at the ballot box and these people that, even if they're running unopposed, that name consistently being on the ballot and understanding the history behind how they have prosecuted folk in your community is important to be able to see how those things tie together.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. Calling all HBCU alumni, students, and leaders, enter the Ford Motor Company HBCU Mobility Challenge and win $25,000 for your school. Building on their long-term support of HBCUs, Ford is looking to improve mobility in HBCU communities through innovative solutions. The winning program will receive a grant up to $25,000 to implement their proposal. The deadline is near March 31st, 2019. Go to FGB.Life, FGB.Life for more information and to apply. Ford goes further in our community, and we certainly thank them for being a partner here at Roland Martin Unfiltered. Now back to your Roland Martin Unfiltered video.